Alrighty guys, welcome back to Star Wars Review. So with the end of the year and the start of the new year, I'm going to be doing some videos about that. And so today I'm going to be doing the first, which will be a video going over all the upcoming Star Wars stories in 2024, which there's a lot to get to. Obviously there's some stuff we don't have exact release dates for yet. Some of the stuff might not end up coming out this year, might come out 2025. And then there's stuff definitely on the publishing side, mainly comics we just don't even know about yet. So yeah, but first gonna jump into the live action Disney Plus series, which we know there will be at least two, which are both new series. First, The Acolyte from creative Leslie Headland, starring Amanda Steinberg and Lee Jung-jae, which there is a short description which I'll read. The Acolyte is a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. So yeah, which this series will take place, I think, around like 80 to 100 years before The Phantom Menace, which is around the time of the final days of the High Republic era, which was created in the publishing series of the same name, which there will be some of that later on in the video. But I'm very excited for this series. Just to get more Jedi stuff, but also seemingly some more Sith related stuff in the century before the prequel movies and whatnot. This series will eventually kind of lead into what the prequel movies are about and whatnot. Which this is probably my most anticipated Star Wars story of 2024. And then there will be a Skeleton Crew from John Watts and Christopher Ford, starring Jude Law, which there's a short description saying, Skeleton Crew tells the story of four kids who find themselves lost in the vastness of the galaxy, trying to find their way home. Which this series will be set around the time of The Mandalorian and Ahsoka and whatnot, and will seemingly tie into the stories being told in those series also. Don't really know how much it will be a part of that ongoing storyline, but obviously it's at the same time, and I think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are producing for Skeleton Crew also. But then Andor Season 2 might come out this year, not fully sure on that. Seems like that will most likely end up coming out in 2025, but there is the possibility it could come out this year. But there will also be some more animated series. First, The Bad Batch Season 3, which will be the final season of the animated series, which will seemingly wrap up the Bad Batch's story, which started in Season 1 and then even the final season of the Clone Wars, which there's no date for that. There's no date for the Acolyte or Skeleton Crew also, but we do know that they will most likely come out in 2024. But continuing on with animated stuff, there will also be Tales of the Jedi Season 2, which I'd assume will be a lot like Season 1, just telling a couple shorts about a Jedi character, most likely set during the prequel trilogy. And then there'll be more episodes of Young Jedi Adventures sometime soon. But that's it for animation and series, but there will also be some video games, the biggest being Star Wars Outlaws from Massive Entertainment and Ubisoft. Don't have a set release date on that yet, but the game will be set in between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and you'll play as a scoundrel-like character named Kavas, who I guess is going to pull off some big heist. Don't really know a whole lot of details right now, but I would assume this will come out either the middle of the year or end of the year. But coming out pretty soon is Dark Forces Remastered on February 28th, 2024, which will be a remastered version of Star Wars Dark Forces, which came out in 1994 or 5, I don't remember, I didn't write it down. But the remastered version will give, slightly updated graphics and improved gameplay. It's not a remake, so it's, not graphically looking like a modern day game. It still looks like, the original version, but just some more modernized, like HD looking to it. I don't know how to explain it. I'll have the trailer footage up and whatnot. But finally, maybe Star Wars Hunters will come out, which was announced years ago and was already supposed to be out. It's like a mobile arena-based shooter game. There's legitimately already a tie-in novel released already a year ago. So I don't know, and I think it's already released in some countries. I think like New Zealand maybe, and maybe another European country. I don't really know exactly, but it hasn't released in the US yet and had a full launch. So maybe it'll be this year. I don't know. But that's all we have for video games right now. There's the possibility that another one might come out now that EA doesn't have the exclusive license to it anymore, which is obvious as Ubisoft is releasing one. But with the several Star Wars games announced right now, it doesn't seem like any other one is as close as Outlaws is. But with video games done, now we'll jump into some publishing stuff. Which first I'm just going to jump into all of the High Republic Phase 3 stuff coming out in 2024. First, the novels. There'll be Escape from Volo on January 30th, which is a middle grade novel. Then a young adult novel, Defy the Storm, on March 5th. And then the next adult novel, Temptation of the Force, on June 11th. And then Beware the Nameless on July 23rd, which I think is a middle grade novel. And then Tears of the Nameless on September 3rd, which I think is a young adult novel. And then there'll be more comics and manga. The manga is The Edge of Balance Volume 3, which will come out August 13th. And then there'll be the Marvel Phase 3 series, which I think the first issue this year will be issue 3. And then it'll probably release at least once a month. The Dark Horse series, High Republic Adventures, which the first issue will be issue 2. And then mini-series like the Marvel one, Shadows of Starlight, which will have its final issue, which might already be out by the time this video goes out. And then some adventure stuff, Crash Landing, which is a one-shot, and then Saber for Hire, a 4-issue mini-series, which that's all the stuff we know for the High Republic right now. Obviously, there's a possibility of more comic mini-series or even another audio drama releasing this year, but we just don't know about yet. But for novels outside of the High Republic, there's The Living Force, which will release April 9th, 2024, which will be set right before The Phantom Menace, written by John Jackson Miller, and will show the Jedi Council with Qui-Gon and whatnot on a, I think it's like a relief mission to a planet. I forget the name of it. You know, like I said, before The Phantom Menace, so very excited for that one. And then there'll be Mace Windu, The Glass Abyss, which will be set after The Phantom Menace and follow Mace Windu, you know, kind of mourning the loss of Qui-Gon Jinn as he receives a message from Qui-Gon telling him about this planet, what's in need, which that novel will be written by Stephen Barnes. But let's jump into the comics. First, some of the ongoing series. Bounty Hunters by Ethan Sachs will end this month with issue 42. And then Dr. Aphra issue 40 will end the Dr. Aphra series by Alyssa Wong. So, you know, both of those ongoing series will be coming to an end this month. But Star Wars by Charles Soule and Darth Vader by Greg Pak will be continuing with issue 42 on to something else, which I wouldn't be surprised if those series will come to an end sometime later this year also. But with those series, there will also be a free comic book day one-shot called Star Wars / Darth Vader, which will have a story written by Charles Soule for Star Wars and a story written by Greg Pak for Darth Vader, which will be May 4th, which is Free Comic Book Day, and also Star Wars Day, which also on Free Comic Book Day, there will also be a Young Jedi Adventures one-shot written by Daniel Jose Older, which will tie it into the High Republic Adventures series also, which that will be from Dark Horse. But there'll be several new miniseries. First, Mace Windu, which will be 4 issues, I think, which will start February 7th, which that miniseries will be written by Mark Bernardin. And then a Jango Fett miniseries, which I think will either be 4 or 5 issues, which will start March 20th, which will be written by Ethan Sachs. And then some comic adaptations. First, an adaptation of the novel Thrawn Alliances, which will be 4 issues and starts January 24th, which will be written by the novel's author, Timothy Zahn, and Jody Hauser, who wrote the adaptation of the 2017 Thrawn novel in comic form, and the comic came out in 2018. Then the final issue of The Mandalorian Season 2 comic adaptation will come out, issue 8. And then the Obi-Wan Kenobi comic adaptation will finish up with its 4th through 6th issue, which I wouldn't be surprised if we'll get more comic adaptations later this year also, along with other miniseries and maybe even ongoing series. But finally for comics, there'll be Hyperspace Stories Qui-Gon Jinn, which will come out July 23rd, 2024, which will be a graphic novel from Dark Horse, which will start a series of graphic novels, the next one being Obi-Wan, and then there'll be several others about several other hero and villain characters releasing in the future. I would assume that will eventually go into 2025 also. But that's it for comics. Comics will definitely be more stuff, announced later in the year, as we only really know up to like April right now. And that's only 4 months, so there's still 8 other months of comics. So yeah, but obviously I'll talk about those in other videos when those get announced. And hopefully I'll be getting reviews of obviously the publishing stuff, and obviously the TV and video game stuff I'll be covering throughout the year when that comes out and when news and whatnot comes out also. So yeah, but that's all of these stories we know of right now coming in 2024. But you could check out some of my other end of the year, start of the year videos I'll be doing. This is the first, so there'll be more coming out throughout the course of the month and whatnot, and maybe even into February. But that's gonna be it for this one. I've been Star Wars Review, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.